Yo, what's up, guys? This is Boom Kitty here, and I wanted to make a tutorial on how to make my signature fat bass line, my fat bass sounds, etc. And this is something a lot of people have asked me about. Hey, Boom Kitty, how do you make those fat bass lines? How do you do it? And so I just wanted to make a tutorial, show you guys how it's done. So let's get started. Pretty straightforward. Open up FL Studio, and then you're going to want to load up Serum. And highly recommend Serum. In fact, I do believe Serum is objectively the best synth for fat bass. In fact, I'd even say it's the best synth overall. In fact, I don't even think you really need anything else. So you have Serum going, and this is the default preset. First thing we want to do, crank that volume, and then you're gonna want to go here in the effects panel, turn on that compressor, turn on multiband, and really lower that threshold. And that is going to make it fat, which is kind of our goal here. We want maximum fatness. So that's pretty fat. Let's turn on some distortion. Just put that to max. That's pretty fat, but we're going to want another layer. So let's go ahead and go ahead and load up any old wavetable from any of the packs you have. Boom. That's pretty nice. Turn on FM, crank it, and then unison. And that's going to make it stereo, wide, and extremely fat. So that's a pretty fat bass right there. Let's turn on the sub. Turn on the sub. That is a fat bass. All right, but we don't just want to work in Serum. We want to load up some effects on there. So let's go ahead and put that on mixer track 1. And now, okay, so in FL Studio, there's this really cool plugin called Soundgodizer, and I really like it. I don't really know how it works, but it sounds nice. So I just like to crank that. Oh, and that's sounding pretty fat. Let's go ahead and put another one on there. That's pretty good. And then I don't know if you guys know about this plugin. It's actually free, so I highly recommend it. There's this plugin called OTT by the same people who made Serum, and it's a pretty nice plugin. So I just like to load that on there. I usually don't touch anything. I don't like to mess with it. I don't really know what those knobs do. Then I gotta crank that volume back up. Now we're in the red, and you almost always want to be in the red because that's where the fatness is. The fatness lives in the red. So I recommend you guys remember that. And now we're gonna have to EQ this a bit. So what we want to do is get rid of this mud. There's a lot of mud in the mid-range. Let's just turn that down. And then we want to crank the bass. So about 30 decibels should be pretty reasonable. Ooh, that's sounding pretty fat to me. Let's go ahead and get another boost on this bass real quick. I want this to be balanced out. All right. And then the other thing I like to do is I like to boost the high end a little bit. And that gives us a nice crunch, but not too much mid-range. You see, we don't want too much mid-range there. So that's sounding pretty fat. I'm really digging that. And the last thing we want to do is put on some reverb. So I use Valhalla Room for my reverb, and I like it a lot. It sounds pretty cool. I usually just keep it, default, everything. Don't mess with that stuff. Just the mix and the decay. Turn the decay down a bit. About 40% is a pretty reasonable amount of reverb. And that sounds pretty nice. So that's the gist of it. So that's basically how I make my my bass lines. So I hope that was helpful. I'm gonna show a little bit more. What I want to do is make a quick melody so you guys see the kind of melodies I make. So you know the kind of you guys have heard my bass lines. What I like to do is I like to get a little creative with my bass lines. So something like this. Oh, first of all, gotta lower that tempo to 128. Always 128. I don't mess with anything besides 128. That's ridiculous. So move these over. Make a nice groove. Oh, and I like to put a little here. Let's hear it. That sounds pretty funky. Let's give it a little twist, maybe something like this. Let's just copy and paste that a few times. That's how you gotta do it. Put a little Egyptian sass on it. Ooh, sounds nice. Very nice. And maybe put these an octave up. Ooh, all right, that sounds nice. So I just want to put a little quick kick and snare on. I use this pack called Leviathan 1 by Black Octopus Sound. That's all I really use. So just grab any old kick, anything that sounds good. And this is fine. So that'll be our kick. And all you really need is a kick. Sometimes I'll put a snare on there, but that's a little more technical than necessary. Then crank that volume. And the way I process my drums is actually pretty similar to the way I process my bass. So, but I don't do reverb on drums. That can be dangerous. So, here we go, and let's hear how this sounds. Oops, full track. And that's the gist of it. So this is a good backbone for what could be a full track. So that's just this. This is how a quick look at how I do my drums and a more in-depth look at how I do my bass. I really hope you guys liked this tutorial. I hope it was helpful. I was actually kind of avoiding making this tutorial because I knew people, once I show this, more new producers are going to try to make these bass lines. And I was kind of trying to keep it my trade secret because, it's my Boom Kitty secret formula for bass. And, but, a lot of fans have asked me, I feel like, I've been working a few years. It's time to share what I've learned just by experimenting. So, I really hope this helps you guys make some fat bass, cool electro tracks. I really hope you learned something new, maybe learned some new features of FL Studio. And thank you so much for watching. I might start making more tutorials in the future. Anyway, guys, thanks for listening to Boom Kitty. Thanks for watching the tutorial. Peace out.